So, the Inhumans TV show is finally out. I know the marketing has been a little rough, but I'm still excited. Let's take a look and see how it turned out. Oh god. Oh no. Oh lord. Okay, that's a little bit of a stretch. Oh my god. Jesus. Well, it looks like things didn't go too great. So how did this A-list movie slated for Marvel become, well, this? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Brendan, and welcome to Cutshort. So, do you guys remember the announcement of Marvel's Phase 3? The announcement of huge movies like Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Infinity War? Well, at the end of that list, we had one of the more unexpected additions to the slate. The Inhumans movie. The general audience was fairly aware that Fox was never going to give away the X-Men, so Marvel decided to use the Inhumans to try to devalue the X-Men. Of course, like many are aware, the basic storyline of the X-Men is based around how society never truly accepts them. As mutants, they have to band together since it's really all they have. Marvel Studios don't own the film rights to the X-Men, so they decided to use the Inhumans, a bunch of characters who had the same basic storyline. The Inhumans live in secrecy on the moon, where no regular humans are. They know they won't be accepted in this society, so they have to stay up there. It's a cool premise, but how did it end up so bad in the end? Let's talk about that. April 22nd, 2016. Marvel officially confirmed that the Inhumans movie was pulled off of Marvel's film schedule. A huge part of this was because of the huge shakeup at Marvel Studios. Previously, the CEO of Marvel was Ike Perlmutter, and to put it lightly, people did not like him. Specifically, Kevin Feige, the current head of Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige would always have to go to Ike Perlmutter with ideas before he could go to Disney, and allegedly, Perlmutter would constantly shoot them down. Allegedly, Ike Perlmutter is an incredibly racist and sexist man, turning down the idea of a Captain Marvel movie because he thought people wouldn't want to see a female superhero, and turning down an idea for a Black Panther movie because, well, yeah, that. Ike Perlmutter also loved the Inhumans. He desperately wanted to take down the X-Men franchise from Fox. In fact, he wanted the X-Men gone so bad, when the Marvel calendar came out one year, he removed all mentions of the X-Men. For example, here is the cover of the first She-Hulk comic. It originally reads, "Okay, now is your second chance. If you don't buy my book this time, I'm gonna come to your house and rip up all of your X-Men." Now here is the cover of the comic that was altered in the calendar. "Okay, now this is your second chance. If you don't buy my book this time, I'm gonna come to your house and rip up all of yours," removing any mention of the X-Men. Yeah, apparently he was that petty towards those mutants. Ike Perlmutter pushed the idea of an Inhumans movie hard. Even though the other people like Kevin Feige weren't fond of an idea of an Inhumans movie, Perlmutter was in charge. Until Kevin Feige went straight to Disney and threatened to quit if Perlmutter was not removed from Marvel Studios. Disney loved Feige, so they agreed. Perlmutter was removed from being the head of Marvel Studios, but was still left in charge of Marvel Comics and Marvel Television. That's the real reason why we most likely won't see any television heroes come to the movies. Sorry, Daredevil. Now, Kevin Feige could go straight to Disney with ideas instead of having to go through Ike Perlmutter just to get to Disney. When asked about the conflict between Feige and Perlmutter, Joe Russo, the director of Captain America Civil War, had this to say. "I think that there were years where Kevin Feige was absorbing the pain conflicted on the company." Russo then went on to state that Marvel Studios was much healthier and happier after all those changes with Perlmutter. When Ike Perlmutter left for Marvel Television, he took the excitement for the Inhumans with him. Spider-Man Homecoming came to Phase 3 and the Inhumans was pushed back, and then suddenly nobody seemed to give updates anymore. Until eventually, it was confirmed that it had been moved to television. The new showrunner was chosen for the Inhumans television show, Scott Buck, who was also the showrunner for Marvel's other dud of the year, Iron Fist. He was mostly blamed for the failure of the series, and that's no different for the Inhumans. Scott Buck also ran the last 3 seasons of Dexter, the most critically panned portion of the entire series. So you're probably wondering how the hell this guy keeps on getting jobs. Well, Scott Buck has always been known to keep productions under budget and done very quickly, and if a company wants to churn out a show fast like the Inhumans, Scott Buck is your man. Unfortunately, the downside is that since it's all done so quickly, it usually turns out terrible. And that was no different with the Inhumans. After the show was well underway, things were still going downhill fast, especially when the first trailer was released. The trailer came out to terrible reception from the audience. Even the director of the Inhumans said that he didn't like the first trailer. And when they released another trailer for SDCC, apparently the audience just laughed throughout. Yeah, that's rough. Marvel's head of television was then questioned on whether or not the show had turned out as he had hoped. He then answered, fairly defensively, "The show that you have seen is not the finished product. If you're asking me whether or not it was done, it's not. So to be perfectly honest, I don't understand your question." Things were heating up behind the scenes, and the Inhumans seemed to have made another huge mistake by pushing IMAX on the show. It seemed like nobody really wanted to see it. Quietly behind the scenes, IMAX theaters shortened the run on the Inhumans from 2 weeks to 1 week. Barely any tickets had been sold for the second week, so they canceled it altogether. Even at this point, people who were booking their tickets for as soon as opening night reported that the theaters weren't even half full for opening night. That's how little was being sold. But now the premiere has come and gone and things are looking worse than ever. So far, I haven't seen many good reviews of the show. Most are calling it terrible and one of the worst things Marvel has put out. It is unfortunate. I wanted it to be good, I really did. But here we are. Hopefully Marvel can learn from their lessons from this and avoid another Inhumans situation. But for right now, all we can do is hope.